Okay. Thank you, Narayan, and rest of the organizing team for organizing this fantastic events on a Saturday. And I know this event is running for more than 15 hours. So kudos to you for organizing the event of such a large scale. So the title of the talk I will be doing today is Introduction to AI and Cognitive Services for Developers and Information Workers. So who am I? My name is Prashant G. Bhoyar. I was born and raised in India. I came to United States back in 2007. I'm a University of Maryland College Park alumni. I co-authored a book called PowerShell for Office 65. I also acted as a technical reviewer for the book Pro SharePoint 2013 Administration. I am from Washington DC area, and I organize a lot of free events in the Washington DC area, metropolitan area. So if you are interested joining us, we run three meetups. One is on AI and ML, another one is on Office 65, and third one is on SQL. As we mentioned, we organize a lot of events. So one of the events we organized was a free a global Azure Data Fest event, which we organize on 2nd of July. The next free event is coming on 31st of July, which is Global AI and ML Fest. So if you are interested in learning latest and greatest information in the AI and ML space, especially in the Microsoft ecosystem, you can join us by registering to this event. Also organize Global AI Bootcamp. We were organizing from last 2 years those as an in-person event, but most likely this year's event will be a virtual event. And I also help organize SharePoint Saturday events in Washington DC areas as well. So I am recipient of Antarctic Service Medal, and from 2017, I'm also recipient of Microsoft MVP Award. So those of you who are not familiar with this, I don't work for Microsoft. It's just additional recognition that Microsoft gives out to the folks who does technical contribution. And those technical contributions can be in the form of writing blogs, answering people's question on the various forums, creating training videos, speaking at the conferences. And this award is valid for 12 months. And after 12 months, you have to submit your contribution. And then Microsoft goes through a rigorous evaluation phase. And if your contributions are good, then you get rewarded for another year. So the typical Microsoft fiscal year for this is July 1st to June 30th. So those who were applied for nomination, we all got our results. We came to know about our results on July 1st, which is 3 days before. And when I first got awarded, I was awarded as a SharePoint MVP. And last year, I made a transition to AI MVP. So this year also, I got renewed as MVP in AI for another 12 months. And I currently work as a senior solution architect at Withum Digital. We are from our company is from United States, and we have offices in India as well. And I focus on intelligent business process automation, where I use a lot of Microsoft products or services like Azure, Logic Apps, Microsoft Flow, bots, and Microsoft AI as the services, which are cognitive services. I work for our company's Washington DC office. And this is the information about our company. We have three Microsoft MVPs on the staff. We have done 100 plus Microsoft Cloud deployments, and we have 50 plus consultants dedicated to Microsoft ecosystem only. And we have been in Microsoft space from long time. We are Microsoft Gold partner from last 17 years. And these are the various capabilities that we have in our company. So if you are interested joining us for the free Global AI Fest, you can go and check us out on meetup.com, where you can find the link for the registration. So let's talk about the today's session. So it's going to be 100 level session. I anticipate or I assume that the folks that will be attending session does not have much exposure to the AI space in Microsoft ecosystem. So we'll talk about the approach in the beginning, then what is AI, what is machine learning, what are Microsoft cognitive services, how to get started. We will have demos and key takeaways and Q&A. Even though I mentioned Q&A towards the end, feel free to ask your questions at any time. Uh, I am using dual monitors here, so if you type your questions in the chat window, that's fine. You can use the feature in the Teams as raise your hand, and that also works as well. So why this session? Like why we should invest our Saturday to learn about AI, right? Because if you look at the AI spaces in general, we so far we don't see a lot of practical use cases in corporates. Like if you are looking at enterprise and let's say if you want to use AI services, then we don't see a lot of business problems to solve. As compared to if you compare that with traditional desktop development or mobile development or database development, there are a lot of business challenges that we are currently focusing on to solve that. But when it comes to AI, the enterprises, the adoption of AI in enterprises is not that high as compared to uh, other products or other services. So if that's the case, then why we should spend our Saturday to learn about AI, right? AI or machine learning, because I personally think because all the advancement that is happening in the computation, the tech industry in general is focusing on using AI in business application. If you read the news or if you watch a television, you will be seeing a lot of hype around a driverless car or autonomous car. And I personally think the AI and ML space and the bots development is in the same state when mobile development was when iPhone 1 was launched. If you go back to 13 years, 2007, when Apple introduced iPhone 1, very few companies or very few enterprises were writing application for mobile devices. Fast forward 13 years, pretty much everything you do or any application or custom application you write, you are expected that that application should work on mobile devices. One of the example I would like to give you here is Robinhood. So Robinhood is one of the startup companies in United States. They have revolutionized the stock trading in United States of America. They were the first company who introduces zero commission stock transaction, and they got launched 3 years before. They got really really popular, but when they got launched only as a mobile device, mobile app only. Once they got popular after 2 years, they slowly introduced the desktop app. So we already seen the shift has already happened in the industry. So on the same line, I anticipate that in next 2 years, the AI and machine learning will be the mainstream. That means if you are a project sponsor or if you are sponsoring a project, then you would like to make sure uh, you are using some kind of AI and machine learning in your application. One of the key stats I would like to mention, and these stats are very, very old from the 2017 holiday season in United States of America, where Amazon sold millions of Alexa devices. And these stats are keep increasing year after year. And Alexa is nothing but a voice-based bot. So Alexa is from Amazon. There is a similar voice-based bot available from Google called Google Home. Similarly, there is available from Microsoft is Cortana, and from IBM is IBM Watson. So the shift we have seen in the industry, which happened, even noticing it, is mobile is a good example where iPhone 1, when iPhone 1 was launched in 2007, people started using it for personal lives. It got extremely popular, and then there was Android ecosystem, there was Apple ecosystem. But after 3 4 years, what we saw is since a lot of people were using mobile smartphones for their personal lives, sooner or later you started that those devices also uh, 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 prolificated inside the enterprises as well. And fast forward now, so if you join a company or organization, whether it's a commercial organization or government organization, you are expected to have a smartphone and you are expected to get some work done using a smartphone. So same analogy I would like to give here with these voice-based bots like Alexa or Cortana or Google Home, where if you are really comfortable using this kind of devices at your personal life, that means at your home, then sooner or later you will see this kind of devices sitting on your desk, and you as a developer or you as an IT pro or a business user will be expected to use these devices and get your work done. Another thing which I thought like someone would have told me like 3 4 years before would have been great is to get into AI and machine learning and to use AI as a services, you don't need to be a data scientist. Data science is a really, really hard trade to master. You need years and years of expertise and you need years and years of training in that. However, all these big corporations like Microsoft, Google, IBM, Amazon, what they have done is they have taken care of all the heavy lifting that needs to happen in the back end. And what they have done is they have provided us as AI as a services, where We just need to know how to use those services. We don't necessarily need to know how those services got built from the ground up. One of the analogies I would like to give you here is if you have done any kind of web development and you have heard or you have used the popular frameworks like Angular, React, or Knockout, to use these frameworks, all you need to know is how to use these frameworks. You don't necessarily need to know how these frameworks got built from the ground up. Same is the case with this AI as a services, where as long as you know how to use this, you're good. You don't need to understand the thing that goes behind the scenes, the data science and machine learning part of it. So the approach that I'm going to be taking in this talk is, so this session is geared towards a non-data scientist, and the target audience is developers, IT pros, and power users. So let's talk about what is AI. So if you talk about a crude definition of AI, it is an effort to automate intellectual tasks normally performed by humans. And this is the definition I got from Francois Collet. He is one of the AI researchers from the Google. And if you read any kind of literature or if you saw any kind of videos from in the AI, there is a lot of different things you will read or you will hear or you will watch. So today, as of today, we can distribute AI into three categories. One is the strong AI, which only exists in the science fiction movies and novels. The strong AI is where the machines are capable of destroying the planets. They are capable of destroying they are capable of invading other planets, and they are so popular, like we humans cannot match their intellectual capabilities. But those kind of things only exist in science fiction movies. The second type is artificial general intelligence. Again, the example if I have to give you here is, if you have seen the Iron Man franchise, or if you have seen Avenger franchise, then inside that franchise there is a character called Tony Stark, and he has his personal virtual assistant called Jarvis. And Jarvis is so intelligent. He can perform very complicated tasks on his own. Again, that kind of AI comes into artificial general intelligence, and we are not there yet. All these things still only exist in science fiction movies and into the novel. Where we are right now is we have weak AI, where we have specialized services for specialized tasks. That means we have specialized services to recognize image. We have specialized services to recognize the voice. We have specialized services to translate the voice. And we as a human are trying to go from weak AI to AGI. And the biggest bottleneck from making that jump is the computation power. I don't know, like if you have remember, Microsoft briefly talked about quantum computing during the 2017 Ignite keynote. If the quantum computing get mainstream, then our jump from number 3 to number 2 will be faster than what we are anticipating right now. So we are where we are right now. We are at the weak AI, and these are the various terms you may be hearing about. Like when it comes to the AI as of today: deep learning, speech to text, image recognition, natural language processing, machine learning. So all these things are nothing but a part of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is not new. We as a human is using AI since the World War II. But since we have done a lot of advancement in the computation in last 5 to 10 years, and because of that, we could have a powerful machine learning models which can do a better prediction. Suddenly, there is a lot of hype and hoopla around AI. So this is the mission statement from Microsoft, where they would like to make data science and AI accessible to everyone, every enterprise, and it doesn't matter what your role is. And they are really working hard towards this particular mission statement. And some of the demos I will be showing today are related to that, where if you are a business user or if you're a power user, you don't need to understand the data science, but you can still infuse AI as a services in your application. Same is the case with data science developers as well. So if you look at the Microsoft AI platform, you can these are the various services which are available under conversational AI. We have bot framework. Under trained services, we have cognitive services. Under custom services, we have Azure machine learning. And if you are interested in learning more about this, you can follow these links here. And all these links constitutes really various tutorials and samples. There is also some training courses available on AI School. And there is another sites as well, sites like Coursera or edx.org, where you can go through these free tutorials on at your own space as well. So if you're like me, like when I started digging into Microsoft AI ecosystem, I didn't know where to start because everything was so pretty new to me. And I'm not a data scientist, so it's like where to start. So you can follow this flowchart where when to use what. So depending on what you would like to do, if you would like to build your own machine learning model, then Azure Machine Learning is for you. If you are like me, who is more interested in just consuming what is out there, you don't want to understand the what happens, understand the machine learning and the data science part of it, then the cognitive services and bots are for you. If you go with machine learning, Azure Machine Learning, then depending on where you would like to host, you have multiple options here. Uh, if you are interested in bots in Microsoft ecosystem, then as of today, we have two options there. One is a software as a service and second is platform as a service. So under software as a service, we have Power Virtual Agent, which provides you a no code experience for bot development. And it's ideal for business users and domain experts to easily build a bot. Using Power Virtual Agent without writing a single line of code, you can have an enterprise grade bot ready within a few hours. And if you are interested exploring this product, go to this link and you can sign up for the free trial here. If you are a developer, then the other option we have to build the bots is a platform as a service, under which falls is Microsoft Bot Framework. It's an open source SDK and tools built for the purpose of bot development. And again, the target audience here is developers, because now using Microsoft Bot Framework, you can create customized bots. And when it comes to customization, sky is the limit. And one of the key feature of Microsoft Bot Framework is if you create your bot using Microsoft Bot Framework, you can deploy that bot to multiple channels without writing additional lines of code. And Power Virtual Agent is actually built on the top of Microsoft Bot Framework. And there is a really good integration story available. But unfortunately, we will not be covering the bots in detail in this particular talk because of our time limitation. But I have done a similar talk a few weeks before, and most likely you will find the videos on the same YouTube channel where this talk will be published later this month. So if you are interested in Microsoft Bot Framework, this is the link you can go and find the details about Microsoft Bot Framework. So any questions so far before we go into the machine learning? Let me put some links here. If you are interested connecting with me on LinkedIn, I'm posting my link to the LinkedIn profile. And if you are interested in joining us for the AI ML Fest, which is going to be free and virtual, you can follow this link for the registration. And if you have any questions, feel free to type those in the chat window, or unmute yourself, or just use the raise your hand feature in Microsoft Teams. Let me quickly take a look. Looks like there are no questions so far. So let's talk about what is machine learning. Again, this is going to be a high level definition just for your understanding. Basically, it examines a large amount of data, and the real purpose of looking for examining the large purpose of data is to find the patterns inside the data. And then you build your model which identifies the pattern, and then you feed a new set of data where your model will recognize patterns inside that new set of data. And the end goal is to create a smarter application and to create and have a better predictions. Like if you look at the high level flowchart of machine learning, so you will have a data which will be unstructured, but definitely it will have some kind of patterns in it. Then you will use machine learning algorithm of your choice, and you'll apply that algorithm against the data, and which will help you to find the patterns in your data. And once you do that, you will generate a model, and then your model will basically help you to recognize those patterns, and you will use those model in your application, and then in your application you will feed a new set of data. So one of the example I would like to give you here is if you have read a literature about autonomous cars or driverless cars, especially the way those are structured is in front of those cars there is really highly sophisticated cameras are there which are constantly capturing the images feeding into the model, and then the model is then basically giving them the prediction, like how much speed you have to maintain depending on what kind of objects are in front of you, depending on what kind of road you are driving, and what are the restrictions on that road in terms of the speed limit, and some other thing. And also it depends on where you have to go. So uh, everything is pretty advanced, and all these predictions happening on real time. But this is the high level overview of the machine learning. And these are the popular frameworks, popular algorithms that are available when it comes to the machine learning. The regression is there, decision tree is there, neural network is there, then there is a Bayesian and the k-means. And if you are interested learning more about the machine learning in Microsoft Stack, I will definitely recommend you to go to this particular cheat sheet, which is available on Microsoft documentation, where you can find out, okay, if you want to do this, what exactly you have to do, and then what additional resources you have to follow. But if you are like me, who is more interested using AI as a services, then Microsoft Cognitive Services are for you, where we have specific services for specific tasks. And one of the key advantage of using Microsoft Cognitive Services is it gives your application the human edge. Again, cognitive services are AI as a services from Microsoft. If you have heard or read the commercial about IBM Watson, that's a similar service available from IBM. Google also have a similar service. Amazon also has a similar service as well. So all these big corporations have similar services, and they have different names for it. But at the end of the day, it's just a service that you can use to infuse AI in your application. So when it comes to Microsoft Cognitive Services, we have services under vision, speech, language, knowledge, search, and labs. And at the end of the day, the cognitive services are nothing but the REST-based API. So as long as you know how to use or how to consume REST-based API, you can easily infuse AI into your application. So all you need to use cognitive services is you need the endpoint URL, and you need the key, the subscription key. With those two, you can start infusing AI in your application. And cognitive services are flexible. That means you can integrate these APIs into any platform of your choice, provided that platform support consuming REST-based APIs. And REST-based APIs are the norm when it comes to the development. So pretty much all the popular platform have support for that. And also that means you can use cognitive services not only in Microsoft ecosystem, that means with .NET, a traditional .NET or .NET Core, but you can also use it with Node.js, Python, Java. And the algorithms that Microsoft use for the cognitive services, the machine learning algorithms, are actually created by Microsoft Research. And Microsoft Research is doing a tremendous job in last 20 years in the space of AI and machine learning. And not many people know about that. So Microsoft will be taking care of not only developing this model, but also constantly enhancing this model. And we don't have to worry about that. And they will also take care of hosting these models for us. Only thing we have to do is just sign up for it and get the key, and then start using this services in our application. There is a really good documentation available on GitHub. If you have any question, you can also ask them on Stack Overflow, where Microsoft is paying people to monitor the questions on Stack Overflow and give you the answer. If something is missing that you would like to see, there is always a user voice available where you can request certain features in that. So these are the various popular services available. Again, this list is not complete. Microsoft is constantly working on adding the new services. And during the demo, I will show you where exactly you can go to find the latest and greatest information about cognitive services. So in today's demo, it's not okay. It's not possible to cover each and every cognitive services within a 60-minute. But what I will do is in today's demo, I will be focusing on some of the services under language, where we will be showing the demo around language detection, text sentiment analysis, and key phrase extraction. So where we can use the cognitive services. So any application that can consume REST-based API. That means if you're a developer, if you're writing a JavaScript application, you can use cognitive services. If you're writing a .NET application, you can use those in the console application, .NET application, Java-based application, iOS application, Node.js, Logic Apps, which is a workflow engine in Microsoft Cloud. And let's say if you're not developer, you don't want to write code, you can still use cognitive services in your application. If there is a one another, there is a no code low code service available from Power Platform called Microsoft Flow or Power Automate, where you can use cognitive services without writing a single line of code. If you are from office background or if you are familiar with SharePoint, there is a product called SharePoint Designer 2013, which is old product, and it is deprecated, but there are a lot of agencies which are government agencies which are still using it. And this product allows you to consume REST-based API. So if you are still stuck with old version of SharePoint and you want to use cognitive services, so there is option available where you can use SharePoint Designer workflows to call REST-based APIs. And let's say if you are using any third-party products like the UiPath or Blue Prism or the products from K2 or Nintex, which allows you to consume REST-based API, you can use those without writing. You can use the cognitive services inside those products without writing the custom code. So we have seen a lot of practical applications of AI and ML when it comes to our personal life. Like if you are a customer of any major financial institution like the Bank of America or the HSBC or the Citigroup, and let's say you have a credit card from the company and without notifying the company, you went to another country for travel and you went on a shopping spree and then you're swiping your card left and right, then suddenly you may get an email, you may get a phone call, or you may get a text from your financial company informing you that they are seeing some unusual activity on your credit card. And the way they can, and the reason they can do that because they have sophisticated machine learning models which are running in the backend, which constantly analyzing. They know about your pattern, like your spending pattern, and if they see anything unusual, they will notify you. Uh, they, if you are applying for a loan to any major financial institution, a lot of time they use the sophisticated machine learning algorithm to make the first decision whether to approve or reject your loan application. And after that, there is a human intervention from um, the loan officer who will then take the final decision. Recommendation engine, which is very, very popular, especially if you are using the streaming services like the YouTube, the Netflix, or Amazon Prime, or if you're using the e-commerce website like Amazon or Walmart or Baidu for your shopping, where depending on your shopping habits, depending on your previous history, depending on your age, location, you will get a recommendation, and all those things happen because they have a sophisticated machine learning algorithms running in the backend. The aircraft companies use the machine learning for the predictive maintenance. It's getting used in OCR as well. It gets used in natural language processing, in machine translation, and in autonomous system as well. But if you have to find applications of AI and machine learning in enterprises, there are not many business problems that we can solve as of today. And part of the reason is the AI services that we have are not that powerful. So still, there are some things we can do using AI and ML in our enterprises. And some of those are recommendation engines. Let's say your company has more than 1,000 employees, and your training department would like to see what kind of training your resources need, when they need a training, what's the typical time they request for the training, so they can arrange the funds and other resources. If you have a good historic data in terms of how what kind of training your resources have taken, and when and what was the cost, you can generate a sophisticated machine learning model which give them a recommendation ahead of time. Okay, March is coming up, you may get a request from this many people on training, and this much will the budget you should be allocating. Same is the case for resourcing. If you're working for a really big corporation where you constantly get a big project and you need to make sure you have sufficient staff to allocate for these resources, you can do that. Process improvement, if you have implemented any custom workflows in your organization, and if you have a good data set in terms of past approval that happen, in terms of how much time it takes for this workflow to complete, or how much time it takes to go from one table to another, or one person to another, or one department to another. And if you have a good historical data set, you can generate a good machine learning model where it gives you the recommendation in terms of okay, this is a 5-step approval, but there is a lot of delay that's happening between step 2 to step 3. So you need to tweak that process a little bit so that that delay doesn't happen. And some of the vendors which are ISVs which are in Microsoft ecosystem are actually using this one and introducing that as a feature in their product space. I know Nintex, which is another ISV in Microsoft ecosystem, which have using which you can build uh, the automation have that kind of capability. So if you ask me, and let's say you are wondering where I can use AI and ML in my organization, then the number one application you can start building is using the document classification. Like pretty much all the organization, like if you are in the business from more than 5 years, chances are you have a tons and tons of documents and data which is not properly classified. And you can easily use this AI services to automatically classify that and then store at a proper location. If you are ISV, then you can use something like a text analytics to automate the product reviews. You can use the text analytics for case and document classification. If you are a ISV and if you're launching a new product, you can use text analytics to find out how's the response from the user using by scanning the contents on the social media. You can also use text analytics to scan your content for intellectual property and for plagiarism check as well. So with that, let's talk about let me show you how easy it is to start with the cognitive services. So for that, if you are in front of your computer and you can access a browser, I will recommend you to follow these steps along with me, where use your favorite browser like Chrome, Edge, or Firefox or Safari, and just type for search for Microsoft Cognitive Services. And the link you're looking for is this one. And once on you this link, just scroll down a bit little, where you will see a nice segregation of various cognitive services that are available today. And this is the link you should be following all the time instead of any deck, because this will be the single source of truth. That means if any service that is available, if it's under preview and if it's no longer in preview and it's generally available, then you'll see the information about that here. Like right now, the cognitive services are classified into 5 categories: decision, language, speech, vision, and web search. And once you select a particular category in the middle section, you will see what are different services available for that. And if a service is under preview, you will see the preview flag here. If I click on the language, so under language, we have immersive reader, language understanding, Q&A maker, text analytics, and translator. If you have done any kind of bot development, then you may have heard about the language understanding and Q&A maker. Again, under speech, we have speech to text, text to speech, speech translation. Under vision, we have computer vision, custom vision, face, form recognizer, ink recognizer, and under search, we have various services to do the search operation. So in today's demo, what I'll be showing you or focusing on is on the text analytics. So select the language as a category and then click on the text analytics. And once you are on this page, just scroll down. And here what Microsoft has done wherever it's possible is you will see a sample application which is already pre-built for you, which you can use to test how this APIs work. That means here on this page, we have a text box here where some text is mentioned. And if I click analyze, this sample application which Microsoft has created will basically take this text, send it to the text analytics API, and whatever the results that will come back, they have added shown those results here, where it will show the language, the key phrases, the sentiment. That means whether the statement is positive or negative, and then the name entities, the pin entities, and the link entities. And if you're a developer and if you would like to know in what format the response came back, then you can just click on the JSON tab, which will give you the information around the JSON payload that comes back when you make this call. And you can use this to test, and this is completely free. Like you don't have to pay any kind of subscription fee to try it. So let's try something quick here is like Narayan and rest of the organizers. are doing amazing job in organizing Azure plat platform Saturday. And let's correct the spelling here. So the moment I click analyze, what will happen is this sample application which Microsoft has built, it will send this text to the text analytics API, and whatever is the results that will be shown here. So let me click on this analyze button, and you will see once the call is successful, the information on the right section of the screen is changed. So the text analytics API can easily can identify that whatever the text we have written is in English language and the confidence level is 100. These are the key phrases: amazing job, organizer, organizing Azure platform, uh, and rest and Narayan. So these are the key phrases. Sentiment, that means this is a positive statement. That's why the score is 100%. And the name entities and the link entities. And if you're a developer, just click on the JSON tab and you'll see in what format the request came back. One little cheat or tip I would like to give you here is if you are into a management position and if you have to write reviews for your team members, you can use this site for free to just find out whatever the comments you are writing for your team members, whether those comments are positive or not. I sometimes use this. Only thing you have to keep in mind is don't pass any personal information here, but you can use this for free just to find out. Let's say if you are struggling with writing an email and or you are writing a complicated or a little bit tough email and you want to make sure you're not coming as a negative person, just write the contents here, click analyze and see how is the sentiment. Same is the case for reviews as well. I use this a lot just to make because whenever I'm writing a review, I want to make sure I'm coming as a positive person and not as a negative person. And there are various ways to write reviews. So you can try this for free. Now, let's say whatever you saw here made excited about the text analytics. And now the next thing you want to do is you want to create a sample application using this. So what you can do is you have two options here. So if you scroll up, you can either start for free. If you don't have Azure account, you can click this link and you can start for free. And then create the Azure account and then start creating the text analytics app. I already have an Azure account. So what I will be doing is I will be clicking on this button called create a resource. And then here, just type for text analytics. And the auto search will come up with this. Click on that. And then it will show you the description. This is typical of experience in Azure, where if you're trying to create a new resource, it will give you the description. And then just click create. Even if you have a paid Azure subscription, I will recommend you to do this because there is a free tier of text analytics that you can use where you are limited into the number of calls you can make. So you can try text analytics for free, even if you have a paid Azure subscription for your enterprise and you don't want to necessarily, have any kind of a charge against it. So let's talk it as a Azure platform Saturday demo 01. Then you have to select the subscription, the location. The location is really, really important here when it comes in the context of cognitive services, because depending on your location, the result that you get from AI as a services will vary. One of the examples I can give you here is the language. So the way, let's say if, by default, it has selected East US, but if I'm writing an application for the customers in UK, then I should be using a location which is I should be using the data center from UK. Same is the case, like if you are using the computer vision APIs and you would like to use the computer vision APIs to flag the appropriate images that are getting stored in your environment, then the location is very, very important because different countries have different rules when it comes to the images. One thing that is kind of permissible in one country may not be permissible in another country. One of the classic example is if you are uploading a picture, profile picture, and if you would like to use custom image or custom vision APIs, and you would like to find out whether that image is appropriate for your enterprise, then the rules that you will be using for US as well as rules that we'll be using in some other countries may be different. And those rules can be dependent on what kind of clothes are permitted, how much of skin you can show. So that's why the location is very important. So I will be using here is East US since I'm from United States, and I would like to, the application I'm building is for the East to West. Looks like someone is not muted. So let's find out who is and let's unmute them or mute them. Okay, I muted that person. So the pricing tier, okay. So the pricing tier, as I mentioned, you can start with a free tier, and I recommended you to start with free tier to do your POC, and same is the case with any other cognitive services that you're using. So start with the free tier, and then provide the name of your resource group. And looks like I have already used that in my application. That's why I'm getting an error. So let's see. Click create. All right, looks like everything is fine. All right, so this is the only thing you need to start using this. Create the resource, and the next thing you will need is, if I click on the go to resource, I will need the subscription key. Now your subscription key are very, very important. You shouldn't be sharing that with anyone else like outside, and also you shouldn't be by mistake uploading those to the GitHub or any other source control repository option product you're using. Because if I have your key, I can easily make the calls on your behalf, and then you will basically get charged for all the AI services I'm using. So here, click on the keys and endpoint, and here you will find the information about the keys and what will be the endpoint that you will be using for this one. Another good thing I like about Azure is once you create something like any kind of resource, and if you're totally new to this particular product or service, always click on this link called Quick Start into left-hand navigation. And here on this page, you will see the link to the sample documentation or sample code that you can use to quickly get up to the speed. So here, if you scroll down, you will see the information about, like, if you're a C# developer, you will see the guide for Quick Start, the sample solution, the Python, the Node.js, the Go, the Ruby, and everything else. So before I show you the next, where I'll be showing you a demo of using this text analytics API inside Microsoft Flow, where we, without writing a single line of code, we can have a practical application. I want to see if there are any questions from the attendees so far. All right. Feel free to type your questions in the chat window or unmute yourself or use the raise hand feature in the Teams. So it looks like there are none. So what I'll be doing is the application that I have built is I have a SharePoint form where I'm asking for some kind of information, where I'm asking some kind of feedback to the users. Now, if you're not familiar with SharePoint, that's fine. It's just a form. Just treat it as a form you are providing to the users, and you're asking your users to enter some information. And what we will be doing using the text analytics API, as soon as the user submits the comments here, because we are interested in learning about the feedback, instead of a human or another team member who will be manually reading these comments, we will automating the reading of the comments and then finding what are some of the key phrases, whether the comments are positive or not, and in which language the comments are written using the cognitive services, and everything will happen automatically. So here, let's give it a name as Azure Platform Saturday 2020. The demo comments, again, I will be typing the same Narayan and rest of the organizers doing amazing job. All right. Okay. I deliberately put this 3 fields here, and I'm not going to enter anything because I want to show you that how Microsoft Flow or Power Automate will automatically add these entries after analyzing the comments we have entered here. So the next thing I'll be doing is click save, and Once it's saved, it should appear at the top. Okay, so this is the one. And if you see, right now the sentiment score, the language and the key phrase are empty, right? Uh, because it takes some time before the Power Automate to kick in and send this text to the text analytics API and then come back with the results. Now I'm going to refresh the screen just to see if the Power Automate has done its job or not. So let me refresh the screen. Okay, looks like there is still a delay here. All right. So you see here now it came back with a sentiment score, which is 0.90. That means the statement or the comment that this particular user have written are positive. The language is EN, which stands for English. That means the cognitive services could easily identify what's the language this text is written and what are some of the key phrases. Now let's see how we have implemented this automation. So for that, I'll be going to the flow. And if you're not familiar with the flow or Power Automate, it is one of the products available under Power Platform, which is really good for automation. Um, and you can start with Flow for free. That means there are some multiple options available. You can start Flow with your Microsoft account. That means Outlook or Live or Hotmail, and you get Power Automate or Flow for free using through your Office 65 or through your Dynamics license as well. So here I will be clicking on sign in. And then I will be going through the flows that I have already created. And the first flow I want to show you is the detect sentiment. So this is the flow I have created, and it's a way the implementation is very easy, where every flow needs to have some kind of trigger, whether that trigger can be manual trigger or that can be automated trigger. So in this case, the trigger is whenever a new feedback is submitted in this list, the flow should start. And if you have created logic apps before and if you're not familiar with Microsoft Flow, so Microsoft Flow is actually built on the top of logic app. So the UI, the concept, everything is pretty much the same. Only thing is there are some additional features you will get with Flow, and some things may not be available in Flow that will be available in Logic App, and something that are available in Logic App may not be available in Flow. Then the next thing we are doing is we are calling this action called detect sentiment, and we are passing the text of from this particular column called demo comments. And whatever the results are coming back, we are saving back that to the field called sentiment score. So here, without writing a single line of code, I have created application which give me which uses the AI as a services and help me in the automation. And in this particular action, the way we identify or make the connection to the cognitive services is you have to just give the name of the connection. So let's say Azure Platform Saturday. And then the account key, which I will not be showing you here right now because I don't want to get that recorded into the video, and the URL. And that URL you can find from here. So if I go to keys and endpoint, so this is the URL we're talking about, and this is the key. So just copy that and paste into this connection, and then you can use this connection for the cognitive services call. I know we have 11 minutes left. So before I will show you the next demo, which is using the C#. I want to quickly cover a few slides in case we run out of time. So a couple of things I want to show is if you are interested in learning about how, if you're not a developer and you want to interested in learning about Power Automate, Power Apps, and how to use to infuse AI in your application, or even if you're a developer and if you want to do some write some custom applications for Microsoft 365 platform, you can go to this link and sign up for free tenant. All you need to do is Go to this link, sign up for Office 365 developer program, and you get your personal Microsoft 365 E5 subscription for free. You get 25 users right now, and the subscription is good for 3 months. And depending on your usage, Microsoft may extend your subscription for an additional 3 months. You can always sign up for the free trial as well. And to use cognitive services, you need to have Azure subscription. So there are multiple ways where you can get Azure subscription. Is one is I personally recommend is if you have MSDN subscription or if you are a Microsoft certified trainer, you get some credits for free per month. Definitely use that for your personal training and development. Or you can always sign up for the free trial where you have to use a credit card. And right now, Microsoft is giving away $200 of credit for free, which you can use within 1 year. And a lot of these cognitive services come with a free tier. Even that means even if you are using a free trial, you can still use the free version of the cognitive services and minimize the cost that comes with it. There is another program available from Microsoft called Microsoft Imagine, where you don't need a credit card, but you need a valid .edu account from a participating school or institution. If your school is participating in Microsoft Imagine account, you may get Azure subscription for free with limited feature set. So with that, let me show you a demo where what I have done is a practical application using a .NET where I have two files on my file system. So let's say you have a file share and you would like to scan all the files in the file share and uh, okay, there is a question I say in the chat window. Hi Prashant, can we create our own set of sentiment? The answer is no. Because if you remember, it's AI as a services from Microsoft. Microsoft is responsible for creating the machine learning model and training those models. So the result sets are generic. If you want to create your own custom, there is another product which I will be talking in next couple of minutes that you can use, which is called Azure Machine Learning Studio, where you create your own machine learning model, you deploy that, and you use that in your application. So coming back to our demo, the C# demo, so I have these two documents where I have some text inside that. And what we'll be doing is using this console application, we will be reading the text of this document, find out in what language the document is written, and then how is the text and what are some of the key phrases. And once you identify that, then it's up to you what you would like to do with that information. Using that information, then you can then move the documents to other locations. So here I have a text, I have an image, and I have some information into the table format as well. This is because I want to show you, like, even if you have a complicated structure in your Word document, you can still uh, and then scan that and then send that to the text analytics API. So with that, I'll be starting this in a debug mode. And you can find the source code of this on my GitHub link as well. So what we are doing is we have started this, and the first thing we are doing is we are reading the directory path where the files are located. Okay, we are going through that one by one, and once we have read the file, the next thing we are doing is we are making the call to the text analytics API. And if you look at this helper function, so we have a different URLs for different uh, purposes. So for the sentiment URL, if you see here, so it's on line number 22. So we have slash text slash analytics slash verban 2.0 and slash sentiment. Especially on line number 23, we have for the key phrase. On line number 24, we have for the language. So if you are familiar with how to make REST API calls, you can just read up the Microsoft documentation and find out how what kind of request you have to make, what kind of payload you have to pass, and what kind of response you will come back with. So let me go through this, and this is what it came back with as a result. So it came back with the score in this case is 0.99. And in the second document, it came back with score as a 0.5. Now let me make the call to the next set of APIs. Continue. All right, so this time it came back with the key phrases. Here the key phrases: cognitive services, Microsoft and AI and USA great. And the last thing we will be doing is the language. So again, this time it came back with the language as English with the confidence level of 1. So that means using a simple like few lines of code, you can have a sophisticated a way to automatically scan the contents of the document. And then once you have information around the language, the key phrases, then you can decide where to host that. Now another question from Santosh. Let's say you are not, whatever results you're getting back from uh, the cognitive services, you are not happy with it and you would like to build your custom model. So for that, there is additional another service available from Microsoft called Azure Machine Learning. And one of the key thing is, again, you need to be a data scientist to use this because you need to build your own model. But one of the key thing about using Azure Machine Learning is once your service is ready, you can publish this as a web service. That means you can have a really nice integration story between your data scientists and developers, where data scientists build the model using Azure Machine Learning, they deploy as a web service, and you as a developer then come in and then start using that in your in your custom application. I know we have 2 minutes left. Let me see if I can quickly show you that. So the product you're looking for is Azure Machine Learning. Okay, Azure Machine Learning Studio. Go to here, and one of the good thing about this is you can start for free, and there are some sample machine learning models are available. So if you are interested in going into data science and see how machine learning works, you can find some sample projects here, and you can then play with that as well. I know we are running towards the end, so let me show you the last part before we answer any other questions. So some of the key takeaways, hopefully the contents we covered today made you excited about AI and machine learning, and you will go home and play with it. And if you don't have access to the Microsoft 365 developer tenant, you can always go to this link and sign up for that. So these are the things we covered today. Uh, these are the reference links. And if you have any questions, feel free to send those to me on the chat window, or feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and also feel free to email me as well. With that, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today on Saturday. And thank you very much for Narayan and rest of the organizers for organizing this such a fantastic event and giving us the opportunity to speak. And if you are from United States, then happy 4th of July, and stay safe and stay healthy. With that, I will be concluding my presentation, and let me know if you have any questions in the chat window.
Thank you, Prashant. Can I just ask you to just switch back to that screen which has all the links, so people can take a screenshot or snapshot of it. And we still got like a good amount of time in between.
Okay.
Just to update everyone, Jeff has some medical emergency, so he cannot do his session. So that one session we're going to cancel. So we're going to finish a bit early today. So in between, as you are aware, that Anna already done her session. So instead of that, Arpit will be doing his session. So the next session we will be going through is Azure AD operations using Microsoft Graph API, and then usual Q&A and other bits. So we still we can entertain some more time on it.
All right, perfect. So I'm always excited about that. So let me show you a few things I couldn't show you. So let me go back here. So I mentioned about the Azure Machine Learning Studio here. So if you are interested in learning about machine learning and data science, go to this link, sign up for the free account, and there are some pre-built machine learning models available, and everything is drag and drop. You can also use R or Python as well. But one of the cool things about this service is, which I personally really like, because again, I'm not a data scientist, I am more on the developer and implementation side. So you can deploy your model as a web service, and once you deploy that, here the service will provide you how to consume that deployed model, which you deploy as a web service in your custom application. So here, if I click on consume, I will get all the information about the keys, the secondary keys, and with that, I also get the sample code. which I can then start using. And that means, let's say, imagine a scenario where you have a really good data scientist and you have a problem that you want to solve, but that problem is like if you are trying to use the cognitive services, or let's say AI the services from other vendors as well, or like Google or IBM, and they are not giving you the results that you need, and the data set that you have is highly custom, and you want to create your model and train your model on that data set, then your data scientist will go to this products, create the model, deploy it to Azure, and then they will just send you this link, and you as a developer then come in and see, okay, this is how I have to make the call, this is how the call will work, and this is how the information will come back, and then you can start using this in your custom applications as well. Um, let's see. There is no other question. So how much more time, Narayan, I have? That depending on that, I may show a few additional things.
You can definitely add another 5-10 minutes if there are
Okay, perfect.
features you would like to demo.
Okay.
It's just in a best of interest for all the audience. So let's add it.
Okay. So another service that we will be using a lot, especially if you are interested in doing the bot development, is the Lewis and the Q&A maker, but Lewis is more. So just I will show you the quick demo of that in case you're not familiar with that. Again, you can follow these steps along with me. So just Google or Bing for cognitive services, then under a language, click on language understanding. And just like everything else, Microsoft has created a sample application we can play here, where so we have in this particular page, we have a sample application which is available where so we have a table, there is a lamp, and there is additional a big lamp here. So depending on what kind of input we provide, this lamp will get turned on or off. So let's say and you can, if you don't want to type, you can just click on this button as well. So if I click on this button all on, so everything is turned on. And again, maybe because of the brightness, the things will not be visible properly, but the lights are turned on right now. And this is this is the JSON that came back with the Lewis. But let's say if I ask this question in another format, because whenever you implementing a bot, the experience you are trying to mimic is from of a human agent. Like means if I'm calling a call center, and if I'm trying to talk with the customer service representative, if I would like to mimic that kind of experience, that means I, as a customer, can ask you questions in multiple format for the same thing. And this is very true for all the humans. Like we as a human have a tendency to ask a same question in multiple format. One of the example is, if I would like to ask you how you are, I can ask you, hey, how you are, your what's up, or depending on the comfort level, I can rephrase that question is, how's your day going? So same thing is here. So let's turn off the light here, and I will be typing here something else like, please start all the lights. So instead of using all on, I'm just giving this phrase here and click submit. So if the Lewis model, that the Lewis that they're using in the backend, if it can understand what's the intent of me, because when I use all on or when I use all off, this was the intent. So let's see whether now, since we are asking it to turn on all the lights, whether it's able to come back with the correct intent or not. So let's click submit. So it was not able to do that. That means this model here, the Lewis failed, right? So let me rephrase this. Oops. Start all the lights. This time it was able to comprehend what I'm trying to say, because the intent came back is turn all on and all the lights are on. So this is how the Lewis will work. Again, this is fundamentals is this is AI as a service. That means it will have a URL and it will have a subscription key. So if you are interested in the demo, just click on the demo here. Or sorry, scroll down the samples for this. Where is the link for the samples? Not here. So let's see. This is so this particular site, even though it has a lot of information, it's not that consistent. in the terms like you will need to do some additional things. Okay, so I will be doing then is Lewis samples Microsoft. All right. So here then you will see step-by-step information about how you can start using this service. What first you need to create like what kind of support that is available. So there's a lot of tons of information available here, and depending on your language and platform, you can then start following this tutorials and start implementing Lewis in your application. Another product go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. What's the difference between, because I've kind of played around with Lewis previously. What's the difference between that and using the machine learning service?
Okay, so Lewis is part of cognitive service. That means Microsoft has already built the models that Lewis will be using, and those models will be taking into account the natural language processing for us. So basically, Lewis is you'll be using Lewis to find what the intent of the user is, and then once you know the intent in your custom application, then depending on the intent, then you will execute the further business logic. So that means everything is pre-built for you. You just need to create a Lewis app and then start using that, and you may have to do some configuration as well. Whereas everything that is there will be from Microsoft. That means the machine learning model that they will be using behind the scene is from them. The data they have used to train that is you don't have any control over that. Whereas if you would like to use your own model because the results that are coming back from Lewis does not work for you, that's where you will be using machine learning, Azure machine learning, and you will be either creating your own model or you'll be using any open source model, and then you will be using that in your application. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Any other question before we wrap up for the day?
So Prashant, there are no questions I have noticed. But thank you very much for spending your 4th July here. So all the attendee from US as well, thank you very much for joining today, like specifically people expect that time to be spent with family, but you guys are our family and spending time with us, so it's brilliant. And also in your demo, thank you very much for highlighting me as a positive sentiment. That was brilliant to see that. Yeah, it was fun. But definitely it's a very good model to use Lewis. I have used it in the past and I really enjoyed it, and definitely looking forward to using more as well. So thank you very much for spending your time today with us and sharing your expert knowledge. It's really good.
Okay, thank you. And can I make a suggestion? And can you stop recording? And then after that, if anyone have any specific question, they can just open the mic and then start asking that. So that way we can make use the best of the time, whatever time we have.